Welcome to a new episode of Chris the Gaming Librarian and my new game review sequence. And today, as you can see in the background with the ominous samurai sword, I am going to be reviewing an oldie but a goodie. And of course, when I say oldie, I mean a 2020 title that many should be familiar with by Sucker Punch Productions by the name of Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I will touch upon this later on, but the big reason I am covering this game in particular today, even though it was a July 2020 release, is due to the fact that just announced last week there is going to be a director's cut of this game coming to both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. So this will be the first time that there is a PS5 dedicated copy of this game coming out, and so I'm super stoked. And it of course comes with a new island expansion called Iki Island. Before I go on any further though, I will give video acknowledgements ahead of time to IGN and their reviewer Mitchell Saltzman, who is doing the review as that you can see playing in the background right now of Ghost of Tsushima. So, having released last year in July to much acclaim, the PlayStation 4's Ghost of Tsushima by Sucker Punch Productions is getting a re-release, and I'm here to tell you to be excited about this game, why you should get it, and why you should experience this once-in-a-lifetime game, both as a gamer and a historian. So, set during the first Mongol invasion of Japan in the late 13th century, Ghost of Tsushima follows the narrative of Jin Sakai, as we can see in the background, fully decked out in the armor here, as he is the last remaining member and head of the Sakai clan. And as he attempts to renew his place as a new kind of samurai and restore honor to his family name, that as you're playing through the game, you find out is lost right near the start of the game itself. You go on this epic adventure as Jin tries to make claim to his family name. My apologies for the ad, the joys of YouTube. We'll just wait for that to be over. Okay, and as the review continues on, now for those unfamiliar with the Sucker Punch name, these are the awesome folks responsible for past PlayStation franchises such as Sly Cooper and Infamous, both which, if you have not had the chance to play, are incredible games in their own right. Sly Cooper being a very wonderful, hilarious series of platformers, and Infamous being Sucker Punch's sort of experiment with open world games or semi-open world games before we got Ghost of Tsushima, which was their sort of twist and turn in their own right. When Ghost of Tsushima was announced, I think way back in like 2015 or 2016, Sucker Punch admitted that it was going to be a departure from games that they had done in the past. Infamous being, a very superpower based, very colorful, very comic book style video game and narrative, to suddenly Ghost of Tsushima being a little more historical, a little more grounded, and a little more serious. But the team has really shown what they can do with open world design in this game, and have created, in my opinion, one of the most gorgeous games and game worlds that I have ever seen in my 20 odd, almost 30 odd years of gaming. Now, the combat in this game is incredibly fluid, as you can see with the review footage playing in the background, and similar to watching a good samurai movie fight scene or even a scene from Kill Bill. The way Jin Sakai moves as a fighter is second to none compared to any other sword fighting based video game that I have played before. And with an RPG skill mechanic that allows you to further flesh out skills that Jin has access to as he grows as a samurai, you can physically see, and I mean physically see, from the first opening hours of the game to when you're approaching the end, just how much these RPG mechanics and the skill development takes effect of Jin's abilities and his fluidity in combat. And this is a rarity to see in games, but one that I really did appreciate seeing. The game itself is split into 3 islands, each with their own feel and geography to them, and it allows for a visually stunning set piece of a game. The additional weaponry that you acquire throughout the game, from kunai to smoke bombs to poison darts, are all delightful and truly allow you as the player to vary your gaming style, whether it's stealthy and sneaky to loud and slashy within, a split second. And yes, I did play both of those play styles throughout my time with Ghost of Tsushima, especially the slashy game style, because truthfully, no paper door in feudal Japan is safe from the sharp edge of my blade as I was playing the game. Why open the door when you can just use your katana to slash right through it? Now, the reason I bring up this fantastic 2020 title now is that come August 20th, as I alluded to at the beginning of this, there's going to be a director's cut. And so it's very interesting to see Sony sort of releasing a director's cut of this game. And with rumors, well, actually not even rumors, during E3 with their sort of very quick announcement that Death Stranding, another game of theirs that came out within the last 5 years, also getting a director's cut. It feels to me that Sony is now moving towards a direction that instead of having a greatest hits line of games and re-releasing titles that way, what they're going to look at doing is these director's cuts. So re-releases of games that have come out within the past 5 years, but with additional content. What that is will vary. In this case, what we have is new content being added in the form of Iki Island. And so the director's cut is set to feature not only the new expansion in terms of their story campaign with Iki Island, but we'll also see the return of the main game as well as its multiplayer component, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which is an absolutely fantastic co-op experience. One of a kind. You get to play as different classes of warrior and samurai, and it's really unique if you can get a good party of people together. And so if that Iki Island expansion is anything like the other islands within the main story campaign, I suspect we'll probably get a good 4 to 7 hours of gameplay out of this new expansion. Hopefully some new powers. And supposedly they are promising that you're going to be able to pet even more animals and not just the foxes in this game. And yes, I took every opportunity that I could to pet all the foxes for being the goodest boys around. And so available right now on PlayStation 4, but the director's cut will be on both PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. I'm really ecstatic for this re-release. Cannot wait to play the game again. And seriously, if the re-release of Final Fantasy VII Remake was any indication, this game already had remarkable loading times, and the game world was fluid and beautiful. This is truly going to make this game poetry in motion, and I cannot wait for next month to come along. Now, for my overall pros and cons of Ghost of Tsushima. Pros, the game world is one that is literally living and breathing. As you can see in the review footage being caught here, everything is always in motion. Even if your character is not moving, the plants, the flowers, the animals around you, the fireflies in the air are just constantly moving. And it's not always aggressive, it's just very peaceful. The haiku moments that you get to do in this game are some of the best to really capture that tranquility, but also steady motion of things. The sound design is also phenomenal. If you have the chance to play this game with headphones on, especially really good gaming headphones, I do yourself a favor and do so. It is absolutely incredible what this game does. The combat is some of the best I have seen in gaming. Definitely in all my years of gaming, especially with sword fighting games. Nothing beats this game in terms of its fluidity of motion, and really captures the essence of what it's like to be a samurai, or what I always thought it would be to be a samurai after watching years of anime and old school samurai movies. And the skill progression really, as I alluded to earlier, shows progression in that combat and your skills as a character in ways that I don't often see. But similar to Spider-Man Miles Morales, I found as your character progressed through the story and got more comfortable, you get or you get less awkward as a warrior, and suddenly, by the time you reach the end of the game, you are just one unstoppable samurai with just swift motions throughout, and your ability to just combo chain everything is phenomenal. The storytelling is thought provoking and compelling, and really draws you in, and leaves you asking, what's coming next? What could there possibly be? And that's not only with every time you save the game. Sorry, I'm just going to reset the video. That's not with only every time you play the game, but also when you finish the main story campaign. Before I knew that there was going to be the Ike Island expansion, I thought, okay, what are they going to do with this game world? This is absolutely phenomenal, and I want to see more of it. I want to exist in more of it. And long after the credits roll, this leaves you wanting more. And while it is an open world game, the playtime itself is actually one of the better that I've seen. With open world games like Horizon or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild really leading the pack in terms of open world, or even The Witcher 3, their stories can just drag on and on and on. I know for a matter of fact, I put like 120 hours into the game, or Legend of Zelda, to complete. Whereas with this one, to 100% the game, and that's getting every single trophy possible and platinuming the game, it took me about 56 hours. Now, this is leaving out the co-op expansion Legends that they put in, because that is a multiplayer component. It is anticipated that you're going to spend just as much time in it to really get all the trophies, but to platinum the main game took about 56 hours, and that was wrapping up odds and ends. To just beat the campaign itself without 100%ing it, I was probably around a high 40-hour mark when I wrapped up the credits. Now, the cons of this game, and there's a few. The climbing mechanics, and I will always bring this up because really 2017's Breath of the Wild set the bar high. Anything that you could see, you could climb, and it was incredible. And well, Sony open world games like Horizon Zero Dawn, so a good comparison for Ghost of Tsushima, doesn't really allow you to climb. This one is also similar, and sort of it's an older gameplay mechanic. You can see that as a product of its time of initial development in the mid 2010s. But that being said, really, for the amount of climbing that you have to do, it's not a huge hindrance. You're going to spend more time riding around on your horse than anything else, and that's the quickest mode of transport. The broken up nature of the islands does stagger the story slightly, in ways that make you feel like the game, again, is a product of the mid 2010s with that, regimented and sort of segmented way of telling a narrative. But overall, it flowed really well. And as I said, the story was very compelling and draws you back in, even if it's broken up into 3 chapters. And even with fast travel points, I will admit a traversal around the island could sometimes be a little bit longer than I thought was necessary. You could fast travel as close as you wanted to, and even by horse, you would spend a little bit of time trying to get to a place to then only enter into a cinematic that would force you to slow down and listen, and you're like, I just want to get to the next combat sequence. But that being said, everyone has their own play style. Not everyone is as fast and furious as I am when wanting to be a samurai. So overall, Ghost of Tsushima is a true gem of a PlayStation title and one heck of a cool and kick butt samurai tale that I am excited to see getting a re-release. So having come out initially in July 2020 and losing a lot of its wind, no pun intended, to the shadow cast by The Last of Us Part 2 that came out in June of 2020. I really think Ghost of Tsushima is going to get a second wind, and it's well-deserved time in the spotlight with this re-release of the director's cut. And seriously, I cannot recommend this game enough. If you do not have it in your own personal collection or your library's collection, please make sure that it's there. If you want to get it for cheap, I know often now the base game of Ghost of Tsushima is on sale, but if you're willing to wait, just a little bit over a month and a half, it will definitely be worth getting the director's cut of this game for both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. Right, so I have been Chris the Gaming Librarian talking to you about Ghost of Tsushima, and thank you for tuning in. If you want to see any games ever being reviewed, or specific titles that you have in mind, please feel free always to go to twitch.tv/Chris the Gaming Librarian. On my main page, I have a link to my Discord, and from there, join the Discord channel, shoot me a message, and I am happy to review any titles that you want to see reviewed or discussed. And with that, I hope you all have a great night. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.